We learned real fast after Obamacare launched a year ago that we couldn't keep our doctor if we liked our doctor, despite the president's promise. But the president and the Democrats made several other promises about the health care law, including this one.
Under our plan, no federal dollars will be used to fund abortions.
First of all, this is a health care bill. It's not an abortion bill.
The president has made it very clear that federal funds will not be used for abortion coverage. We're not changing the status quo in the law at all.
Well, in the words of that great American political philosopher Gomer Pyle, surprise, surprise, surprise. The Government Accountability Office, which is nonpartisan, found that Obamacare is funding abortions with your taxpayer dollars. Here to explain how that's happening is Betsy McCoy, the senior fellow at the London Center for Policy Research, also author of Beating Obamacare 2014. Betsy, welcome back.
Thank you. And, you know, Governor, the fact is some Americans are pro-life, some are pro-choice, but we are all pro-truth. Am I right?
Yeah.
We want our president to tell the truth and to keep his promises. And the fact is that way back in 2010, he didn't have the votes to pass this law.
Yeah.
So he went to the pro-life Democratic caucus and he said, I'm going to make you a promise, right? Even though this law will make health insurance mandatory, no one will be forced to buy abortion coverage or have their tax dollars used to pay for abortion coverage. He provided the promise in writing, but not actually in the law. And then right after the law squeaked by with just a few extra votes, he decided to forget that promise.
So I remember very vividly they called it the Stupak Amendment, and Bart Stupak, the congressman who later ended up retiring because of the pressure he got, said, oh, don't worry, the president has given an executive order, he's promised. But it has long been the policy of the American government that even if there was going to be an abortion, there would not be taxpayer funds used for that abortion under the Hyde Amendment. So this really violates more than just the promise. It violates a long-standing tradition as it relates to taxpayer funding of abortion.
And it bamboozled the public as well as those lawmakers, just like if you like your doctor, you can keep your doctor. If you like your plan, you can keep your plan. Or how about, remember this one? You're going to get the same deal your congressman gets. And you're going to save $2,500 a year. Did you save it?
Yeah. No,
Right.
No one really did.
Right.
Specifically, how is it written into the law that abortion is now a part of Obamacare?
Well, actually, what the law says is that qualified health plans will be offered in all the exchanges around the country, and states have some leeway as to determining what qualified means, and the Secretary of Health and Human Services has it. But the fact is, in a majority of states, health plans are being sold that cover abortion, and consumers who go to the exchange to buy a health plan aren't told, well, here's the price without the abortion coverage, here's the extra if you want the abortion coverage. In other words, this isn't a pro-choice piece of legislation. It takes the choice away.
Do you think it was intentional? Was this something they knew was in that law, or is this like, oh my gosh, we didn't know this?
You know what? That's the question we're hit with again and again. Is it just incompetence or was it intentional? But here's the rub. We know, we the American people, not one party or the other, know that we can write a health reform law that will cover the uninsured and that will be fair enough and honest enough that politicians don't have to lie about it again and again and again. And that's what we should be doing.
We are now 1 year into the launch of Obamacare. A year ago, the rollout of the website was disastrous. Now we know that it wasn't just a few $100 million for a website, $2 billion. Betsy, I don't know how you can spend $2 billion on the entire Internet. It looks like you could buy the whole thing for less money.
And get ready for the confusion this year. It's not just a coincidence that despite what the law actually says, the Obama administration moved the enrollment dates till after the election.
How convenient.
They can't stand the idea of having to live through that again.
What are people probably going to see with the renewal period? Because that's where we are now. The renewal Are rates going to go up for a lot of people?
Some rates will go up for quite a few people, but here's what I'm really worried about. Most people still get their health insurance through an employer, their own or their spouse's. And they're going to get the bad news. As many as 30 million people could lose their on-the-job coverage this year and be forced onto one of those exchanges, which is a very raw deal. And the reason is that the plans that employers bought in the small group market suddenly are no longer eligible. And employers are going to be stuck with either going to the very expensive Obamacare one-size-fits-all requirement or saying to their employees, I'm sorry, you'll have to get your health insurance somewhere else. And we're going to see a lot of that in the coming months.
That's really, I think, frightening for every American. And as you say, there are a lot of people that are in for yet more surprises. Betsy McCaughey, always great to have you here. Nobody understands this whole thing more, for the simple reason you actually read it. You did something Nancy Pelosi has still not done. You read the stinking bill.
Right.
What a novel idea.
It's what lawmakers should do, right?
Yeah, it's what they should be doing.
That's right.
Betsy McCaughey joining us. Thank you very much.